You think you know what beauty is. A symmetrical face, clear skin, an attractive body. And you probably assumed that people have always agreed on what looks beautiful. But the truth is far stranger. If you traveled 1,000 years into the past, people might not consider you beautiful at all. And if someone from the past were brought into the modern world, they might be shocked by the things we find attractive today. So how can something that feels as obvious as beauty change so dramatically over time? Is beauty a biological reality, or is it simply an idea invented by human societies? The story begins long before cities, long before kingdoms, and long before written history itself. When your ancient ancestors lived in the wild, beauty was not connected to fashion, makeup, or celebrities. It was connected to survival. The human brain evolved to notice signals that suggested health: clear skin, bright eyes, a body capable of movement and work. These traits meant something important: a better chance of survival and reproduction. That is why many scientists believe that some basic standards of beauty have deep biological roots. But this is where the surprise begins. While these biological foundations exist, most of what we call beauty today has never been fixed. In ancient Egypt, beauty was closely linked to order, cleanliness, and symmetry. Men and women used cosmetics. They cared deeply about their appearance. Makeup was not just decoration, it was a symbol of status and culture. Then came ancient Greece. Beauty became associated with physical perfection. The famous Greek statues were not merely works of art, they were attempts to represent the ideal human being. Balanced proportions, athletic bodies, mathematical harmony. Some philosophers even believed that beauty reflected the hidden order of the universe itself. But history changed again. During the Middle Ages in Europe, the focus shifted away from the body. Religion and morality became more important. Humility was often valued more than physical appearance. Then came the Renaissance, and admiration for the human body returned, but in a very different form. Today, it may sound strange, but many paintings from that era portrayed fuller bodies as beautiful. Why? Because food was not available to everyone. A larger body was often a sign of wealth. It communicated something important. This person has access to resources. This person has status. Today, in many parts of the world, slimness is often considered more attractive. What changed? The answer is surprisingly simple. When food was scarce, having more of it was desirable. When food became abundant, self-control became desirable. The standard flipped completely. And this reveals an important truth. Beauty standards are not simply reflections of nature, they are also reflections of economic and social conditions. In ancient China, small feet were considered beautiful and prestigious. In some African cultures, decorative scarification was seen as attractive. In other societies, long necks or specific body modifications represented beauty. Every culture created its own version of what was desirable. But why does this happen? One explanation comes from the French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu. He argued that standards of taste and beauty help distinguish social groups from one another. In other words, beauty is not only about what you like, it is also about what signals who you are.
Then came the modern age, and with it came cinema. For the first time, millions of people were looking at the same faces, the same actors, the same celebrities. Beauty standards began spreading across entire nations. Then came television, then advertising, then the internet, then social media, and everything changed again. Because now you are no longer comparing yourself only to the people around you. You are comparing yourself to people from all over the world. every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. The human brain evolved in small groups of a few dozen individuals, yet today it is exposed to thousands of carefully curated faces and bodies. Most of them appear flawless. But there's a problem. Many of those images are not entirely real. Filters, editing, professional lighting, carefully chosen angles. Over time, the line between reality and the ideal image became harder to see. As a result, dissatisfaction with appearance increased for many people because comparison became constant and endless. Yet through all these changes, something has remained surprisingly consistent. Psychologists have found that people across many cultures still tend to be attracted to certain common signals: health, vitality, relative symmetry, and positive facial expressions. These patterns appear again and again throughout history, as if beauty is made of two layers, one ancient layer shaped by biology, and one modern layer shaped by culture. The first changes very slowly. The second changes all the time. That is why the beauty standards that seem completely natural today may disappear a century from now, just as standards that once seemed obvious to your ancestors have already vanished. And in the end, perhaps the real question is not how beauty evolved throughout history, but why every generation believes its definition of beauty is the final one, when history repeatedly shows the opposite. Beauty is not a mirror that reflects reality, it is a mirror that reflects the age in which you live.